So vision is currently the name of the game. It is where we are spending a ton of time, if you're following me at all. Not only just vision and clarifying our vision, but also vision into action, which is doing something with the goals and dreams that we have within us. Real interesting concept because we need a lot of tools in our tool belt to get our vision into action. But one of the ones that we're going to focus on today, which for those of you watching may or may not like, it's okay. You don't have to like me and everything that I put out there. Still, it's going to make you better. What we're talking about is every vision needs a boundary, right? We need boundaries in order to have our greatest visions fulfilled. There's no way around it. And until you get clear with that and until you establish boundaries, it is actually nearly impossible to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish in our life. So when we consider this, I want to unpack this in a little bit of a different perspective for you to, in hopes it be something you grab onto. So when I was really starting to look at boundaries and how do I set boundaries for myself so that I can be the person that can obtain the visions that I have for myself, my boundaries were started and established by what we call values. Most of you sitting there today, you're very sure of what the word values means. And for most of us, we start to tune out because values can be a very overused idea, right? Like even back in the day, Enron, if you remember them, their number one value was integrity. Sure, okay. A lot of times we think values are for corporate companies or for businesses. No, they're not. And I'm even suggesting for all the companies that I work with that we don't look at values as a company mantra, that we use standards. Anyways, what are values and how do they become boundaries to accomplish our vision? Values are something that are deemed to be very, very, very important, right? That's by definition what a value is, but something can be very important to you and not utilized. So just because a thing has value doesn't mean we always use it or leverage it to its greatest potential. Your values are like water to your soul. It's like water to a seed, right? And because you're a human being, you have a soul, which means, yes, we can get all tactical and Julia, we need metrics and dates and deadlines and all those things. I get it. But you're also human, which means those days that you feel energized and alive, as well as those days that you feel depleted and you are burnt out and not motivated, there is a reason. And typically it's because you've either been watering your soul, which leads to lighting you up and feeling very alive, or it means that you've not been watering your soul, which leads to a very depleted, unmotivated, burnt out individual. Today, we're going to identify how do you figure out what your values are and then start to water yourself so that you will actually set boundaries that help you live into your vision. Because how many of you know if you're depleted and unmotivated and burnt out, it's not real likely that you're going to be able to accomplish your vision, at least without resentment. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. 2 questions. Number 1, when do I feel most energized, most alive, and most connected to myself? What am I actually doing? And I want you to write those things down. And it may sound like this. I'm working out. I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm working on my business. I'm pushing myself and challenging myself in a new area. Doesn't matter what it is, but I want you to write down some of the top 5 things that help you feel very motivated, very encouraged, very challenged. Then I want you to look at those things and I want you to go, okay, but why? Like, what is it about the act of doing this thing that makes me feel motivated, that makes me feel energized? And typically we will start to answer things like this. Well, in my workouts, I feel extremely connected to myself. Well, in my quiet time, which I love, I feel very mindful and very in tune. When I'm with other people, with my friends, I feel inclusive. I feel high levels of empathy. I feel like we all understand each other. When I'm building my business, I feel like I'm growing and learning, and I really like that. Those things are your values, not just the business and the working out and the being out with friends that fills you up, though you do like it. What's filling your soul is the thing under the thing. It's the mindfulness, it's growth, it's learning, it's empathy. Those are your values. Now I want you to go and I want you to double check yourself. And I want you to ask question number 2. When do I feel the most drained, unmotivated, burnt out, and depleted? And I want you to write them down. It could be, you could literally say, after a long day of work, when I don't work out, when I'm disconnected from my friends, from myself, I feel depleted when I work too many days in a row. I feel depleted when I'm not working enough. It doesn't matter what it is. Again, I want you to write down your first initial 5 things as to why you feel depleted, undermotivated, just not lighting it up in life. And then I want you to find the thing under the thing. Well, work right now is draining me, not because I don't like work, but because there's no increase, there's no abundance. We're starting to look down. We're starting to look at all the things that we're doing wrong. We're not looking up. We're not looking for what's next. We're not looking for potential. It's not that it's the work, it's that what's happening is that there's no room for abundance, and abundance is a value. I'm hanging out with all these people, but I'm feeling so lonely. Well, that's because maybe there's not connection that's happening in those relationships, and you really have a value of connection. So you can be around a lot of people, but that doesn't do it for you, right? So the thing under the thing is going to be your answer, and within those are going to be your greatest values. Now, once you have that identified, it's your responsibility to fill yourself up. It's your responsibility to water your soul with these things. So how do I make connection come alive in my life? How do I increase learning and growing? How do I ensure that I'm positioning myself for empathy and for understanding and compassion? How do I ensure that in my day-to-day I am bringing these values to light, and I'm actually doing things throughout my day and throughout my week that are filling and feeding my soul? Your values are nutrition to your very being that is going to help you accomplish the greatest vision. But a vision will only go so far if you can only go so far. If you are tired, if you are depleted and you are not feeding your soul and you are not giving yourself water, you will only be able to go so far, and therefore the manifestation of your vision will also only go so far. Boundaries called values are so important, and they are ultimately going to be the blood of your vision. So today, I encourage you to sit down and to create space and to ask yourself those 2 questions, and to identify what are the 4 greatest values that you hold to be true. And then ask yourself, what can I do to inject these into my life? What can I do to water myself like crazy in different areas so that I can be full of life, overflowing and abundant in the things that matter most to me? Because again, remember, we can value something without using it. And today, I want you to not only value your values, I want you to use them.